Yo, yo, yo. What's happening, everybody? One of the biggest mistakes we can make as artists is thinking every time we pick up the brush, we have to create something new. Sometimes the most important session isn't about adding anything. It's about correcting what we've already built. Today is one of those days. This isn't going to be a dramatic transformation. And in fact, if you're looking for some huge reveal at the end of this video, you're probably going to be disappointed. What we're doing today is something much more valuable. We're looking for the small places where the paintings stop telling the truth, and we're going to fix those. So if you got something you're working on, go ahead and paint along with me for the next 30 minutes. And let's see if we can make a few honest corrections. I believe that every painting is a bridge. And this painting that I have here is a bridge to our self-worth. Oh, well, that backfired. That's a can of Mountain Dew. All right, so today we're going to be working on Gerald the Clown. But what happened? Why am I opening up talking about making corrections? Well, you see, what had happened was I got a little excited. And because I got excited, I started painting out of order. I just started painting his image. I just straight up skipped his form. So that's what we got to do today. We got to go back in here and create form. Excuse me. And then after we create his form, we'll start working on shaving his shape. It's a little backwards, isn't it? Maybe. Yesterday I was teaching a veterans painting class. I was so excited yesterday. And guess what I did? Essentially the exact same thing. I just started skipping steps. How sad. You know, we get to meet once a month. And I goofed on him. Well, I didn't goof. I goofed, but I goofed enough. All right, and this is where I goofed, y'all. I was teaching them about, starting in the light, objects in the light, objects in the dark. Any object that's in the light, the first color that we put down is going to be white. Oh goodness, here I go. I made another goof already. Any object that's in the shadow, we start off with black. Or whatever your black may be. In this case, mine is a gray. Mine is Payne's gray. Right? So I should have put this color down first. The second color that we put down is going to be the color of the object. And now, when you do it this way, you're going to get, it's going to create a solid object, right? It's going to, it's going to hold the correct space. Now, one thing I gotta be careful of is here I am painting his backside, and what do I not have painted behind him? The background. All right, so what does that mean? That means I'm gonna have some problems if I carry on this way. So before I introduce the second color, I now understand that I'm going to have to start painting behind him. So there I was once again, all excited to do a thing that I thought I was gonna be doing. And now I got to do something ever so slightly different. Excuse me. But I promise you this much. It's better to catch this now than after I done painted in his tail coat and everything else. Yes, that's fine. Digital babysitter engaged. The lily pad. So, my mom got to see this painting yesterday. This was her first time seeing it, and she was just like head over heels about it. She couldn't believe I painted it. She was like, "You painted that?" I was like, "Yeah, Mom." She was like, "Don't change anything about it." I was like, "What do you mean don't change anything about it?" I have to change. I have to change it. You know, I dream of the day where I can introduce a painting and then somebody's in my inbox saying, "Don't change it. Don't change anything about it. I'll buy it from you right now." I dream of that day. Dare I say that day is coming.
Dad, we lost them. Yes, we have.
It's in between the cushions somewhere. One of the things that came up in the veteran class yesterday was somebody was expressing their frustration with the paint stroke that they were making. It's like, my hand keeps shaking. I was like, yeah, that's true. But I can also see only one stroke there. So it can be really hard to get one stroke perfectly smooth. But it's a whole lot easier to get 1,000 strokes in one spot smooth. So like if you're painting a section and you want it to be smoother than what it is, more paint, more strokes. You'll get it as smooth as a baby's bottom. Now, I'm actually kind of happy that the black isn't interacting with the background too much. Thank you, Jesus. That's just a little bit less work that we'll have to do. So one of the things that I like about using geometric shapes and geometric forms is it makes it so much easier to make sure that your planes, your light planes, your ground planes, it makes it so much easier to get them in alignment. And once you have planes that are aligned, that's where, you know, that this is like one of the biggest things that you'll deal with as a level 4 artist, right? As you're trying to translate objects into space and into time in a realistic fashion, having your planes in alignment is just like, I don't know, getting a fast break layup. You can still botch it, but it's still gonna be a pretty easy shot to make. Excuse me. This thought about planes, man, this thing, I just can't let it go. Especially when talking about realism and like, we're dealing with objects and we're dealing with them. We're creating images that represent the world, right? Or things of the world, concrete or abstract. And the topic that just keeps coming back to me is whether the earth is round or whether it is flat. And as a painter, I can only believe like the world as I access it, or I believe the world as I access it. And to me, that means that the world, and what I would say about it is that the world is both round and flat. It is made round by a combination and series of flat planes. My son was telling me about this guy that he saw online that was conducting an experiment. What in the full body? Wrong. Where he sent a sailboat out into the ocean. And as the sailboat made it to the horizon, you could see the hull of the boat disappeared, but you could still see the mast. And that was his reasoning for saying that the earth was round. I was like, oh wow, yeah. Initially I was like, yeah man, that was a great experiment. But that doesn't mean that it's round exactly. And then I was watching, and I saw these TikToks where all these pilots were saying, you know, the earth is flat. And they're saying it's flat because of their experiences, right? But one of the things that I think that's happening, that could be happening to the pilots, is that they're operating on the average of two planes, and in those gaps, in those spaces, the things are happening, which then makes me think of like the Bermuda Triangle, right? Like, why is it that that one spot causes as much, has caused as much friction as it has? And maybe that's like the Earth's it's like a seam of the Earth or something, like the Earth's butthole or something. Sorry for the crudeness, but you're just trying to make sense of things that don't really make sense. Either way it goes. As a painter, we access the world one plane at a time. It would really help if I knew where this was, because now I can say, oh, well, you know, he occupies this space, so his shadow carries on this way. So even though the plane itself goes this, you know, yeah, I guess we could do it this way as well. Even though his light is coming down to the ground, I'm not really sure which one we're drawing, his diffused light or the plane that it's landing on. Since I've got the dark color on, I'm gonna go ahead and paint it as a diffused light, but then as I transition it back to the ground, I'll paint the ground on the plane that it belongs to. Does that make sense? If you ask a basketball player, based off of what they've seen through their profession, do they believe, what do they believe? Whether the earth is flat or round. Somebody asked Kawhi Leonard what he believes. Please. In my next life, I think I'll be as long as I can still be like the person that I am now, I think in my next life, I would like to be a sports reporter. I would ask the athletes all sorts of questions, very few of them dealing with strategy and planning. Like, I think the strategy for every game is about the same. We've identified this weakness, and we're going to do everything that we can to exploit it. We've identified this strength, and we're going to do everything that we can to maximize it. Therefore, any questions related to those things that are going to get not so colorful responses. And you're like, man, why do these guys have attitudes like this? Don't they know they're getting paid millions of dollars? Look, you wouldn't care how much money you're getting paid if people are asking you questions that you know, if I'm being interviewed and somebody's asking me, hey, why did you use that paintbrush right there? I'd be like, look, bro, it fit in the hole, bro. So, but like, here I go promoting stuff. Sam Presti did, man, was absolutely bonkers, bro. He just changed the game this summer. He absolutely changed the game of basketball this summer. The GM is playing defense. The GM is playing defense, bro. He messed up a whole nother organization potentially for the next 2 to 3 years. That's gonna and then like he got so many picks available, bro, that like you can't. He's got so many picks available that you're not gonna be able to not deal with the Thunder. And it's like, look, what's that song about the company store? Like the Thunder have become the company store of the NBA. Or in Snatch, he's become a brick top. And in the world of unlicensed boxing matches, sooner or later you will have to deal with brick top. And then the question becomes like, man, are you good at your job? Man, we've meandered. Oh my goodness. As fast as 20 minutes of my life. Yep. Time just be running away, man. You know, I think it's very important that we follow our processes, but not for the sake of like performing religion through pain. But so that we have like consistent effects, if anything. But time is getting away from us. The prepared closing is on its way. Could you imagine that? Having so much demand for your work that people love you for whatever it is that you offer. All right. Oh, man. I almost grabbed the wrong yellow. How do you make a gradient from purple to green? Use blue. All right, time for the prepared closing. You know, I came in today thinking, well, yeah, it's since been prepared. All right, whatever, doesn't matter. The prepared closing. I came in today thinking I knew exactly what this painting needed. Surprise, I found out it was something else. I fixed the thing that I planned to fix, right? Or I started to fix the thing that I planned to fix. And in doing that, I discovered something else that had been wrong the whole time. I didn't see it yesterday. I couldn't see it while I was standing back looking at it. I only saw it because I was willing to pick up the brush and have a go at it today. Life has a funny way of working like that, right? Sometimes we spend so much time trying to figure out everything before we move that we never discover what was waiting on the other side of the first step. Not every correction announces itself. Some corrections introduce themselves after we've been faithful to the first one. So if you're working on something, whether it's a painting, a relationship, your business, or just yourself, don't be discouraged because you found another thing that needs attention. It's almost there. It's getting there. That doesn't mean you failed. It means you've made enough progress to see what you couldn't see before. And I think that's worth celebrating. Lord willing, I will catch you all tomorrow. In the meantime, if you're looking for the highlights, go check me out on IG, Instagram.com/BWHue art. That's BEEDOUBLEART / we publish if you're looking for the whole story, we publish a monthly magazine. Currently out is issue 002. And you can see that at writeoutthebox.com. That's WRITEOUTDABOX.com. All right, y'all. We'll be painting again as soon as we possibly can. Peace.